Welcome to Get to Know, the podcast that brings you creative careers unfiltered. I'm Morgan Williams, producer, art director, and your host. And I started this podcast because I was meeting brilliant people in the industry but had no idea what their job titles really meant. Each episode, I sit down with photographers, designers, creative directors, content creators, and more to unpack what their jobs really involve, the glam bits, the graft, and the everything in between. This is season 2 with brand new guests, panel episodes, and more honest conversations. I'm so pleased to be able to say that this season is sponsored by Capture One, the industry standard software for photographers. And if you're new here, season 1 is waiting for you. My guest today is a social media powerhouse who's turned a niche idea into a booming business. After working her way up the ranks at Boohoo and the Fox Group as a social media manager, she spotted a gap in the wedding industry and ran with it. Now, the founder of Brides of Social, she's pioneering the world of iPhone wedding content creation in the UK and already has nearly 80,000 TikTok followers and an award under her belt. From strategy to storytelling, she's redefining how we capture the big day and building her brand along the way. Let's get to know Lauren Rowley. Before we dive in, a quick favour. If you're enjoying the pod, please hit subscribe. It's completely free, helps more people like you discover the show, and means I can keep bringing you honest, inspiring chats with some of the most exciting creatives out there. Thanks so much. Now, let's get into it. So, Lauren, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a little while since I saw you because it was at the wedding.
Yeah, we were literally just saying it feels like it's been years, but it's only been a few months.
Literally a few months.
Yeah, it's just flown by. So
it really has. But no, thanks for coming on because I feel like your niche is like, it is a massive niche.
Yeah.
And like not many people know about it. Like even when I was talking about planning my wedding with like my friends, I would say, oh, I'm having a content creator there. And they're like, that's a job.
Yeah. What even is that?
Yeah.
I completely agree because I feel like still to this day, so this is my 3rd year doing it, but still to this day, I'm having people saying, what's a content creator? And you'll go to weddings or events and people will be staring at you thinking, who's that girl with a phone?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, I'd say, about 90% of people still aren't really sure about what it is.
Yeah.
I think it's still super niche, super new.
We'll get into like the nitty gritty in a minute, but can you give us like a top line overview of what your role as a wedding content creator is?
Yeah. So basically, I go to weddings and I shoot social first content. So everything I shoot on, I only use an iPhone. I shoot content on the iPhone. Other content creators use other bits of equipment, but I think it's raw, it's natural. I think it's all should be shot on an iPhone. It's basically like having an extra guest or an extra bridesmaid who's constantly got a phone in their hands, and all that raw footage that I shoot that day gets given to the bride and groom, you'll know, the next day within 24 hours. So they can basically just flick through the footage and relive the wedding day the next day.
Yeah.
It's basically social first content on a wedding day. I mean, I feel like social content has been knocking around for years with brands, for example, your big fashion brands, like everything is social first. So I feel like it's slowly coming into the wedding industry and getting more recognised there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm basically like an extra guest or bridesmaid.
No, I
with
think
a
it's
phone.
great.
Yeah.
You could ask like a friend to capture all of it, but then it feels like they're not really part of the day and you want all your friends to be part of it.
Exactly. And I think I came about this job because I was getting married myself and I was going to ask my friend to film little bits of the wedding morning on her phone. And then it got me thinking, actually, there's a gap in the market for this. So I wanted it for my own day. And I'm very Instagrammy and I love Instagram, love TikTok myself personally. Yeah. So I wanted to post my wedding day the very next day on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah,
so
100%. So let's go back a little bit and just to like understand how you've got to where you are right now.
Yeah.
So if we go all the way back when you were like first thinking about what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, like you're 16 in school, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What was your kind of career aspirations then?
So it's so weird because when I was in high school / college, I literally had not got a clue what I wanted to do. I felt in school I was never really good at anything. There was never anything that I leaned towards. And I was the same in college. And you get all them questions like, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And I had friends doing medicine. I had friends doing veterinary. And I just think all my friends were very gifted, very talented. And I was always that one that was like, I'm going to big myself up, but the funny friend that just like didn't know what they wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? And I used to joke about it all the time. But then I went to college and I kind of got into media. So obviously back then social media wasn't a thing. So I kind of got into marketing and media in college. And then I went to uni and studied fashion marketing. So I kind of got a feel of what I wanted to do then. I knew that I wanted to be in marketing. And then luckily I got an internship at Boohoo. So with my course at uni, we had to do a work placement or like an internship type of thing. So I applied at Boohoo and got in, which was amazing because thousands of girls applied and I did not think I was going to get it.
What kind of year was this as well?
This was my third year at uni. So even in my first and second year, I was thinking, what the hell am I going to do for a job after this? I think I've always winged it. And I think I am very extroverted, so I think I've just winged it by being an extrovert. And I've just got in the right...
Gets you places.
Do you know what I mean? It does get you places. And I even think with my Boohoo interview, I winged it by being confident in the interview.
Yeah,
I still didn't even know what I wanted to do. So got in there in my third year doing customer marketing, which is like digital marketing. So like email, digital ads, paid ads. Again, social media still wasn't a thing. And then when I finished my internship, they were like, we want you to stay on. We want you to get a job full time at Boohoo when you finish uni. So I was like, okay, I'll see. So in my final year of uni, I was back and forth on whether I wanted to go back. I loved it, but I still didn't find a right role for me.
Sure.
And then during uni last year, they were like, a role's come up in the social media team. And I thought, oh, social media, I love that. Love doing it in my personal time. Instagram just started being a big thing. So I was like, okay, I'll apply for it. Went for it, got the job. And then, I was a social media assistant at Boohoo. Again, loved it. But I was thinking there's still something missing. Like, I don't know what it was, but I thought, is this going to be me for the next few years or whatever? And then after COVID, we were still working at Boohoo but working from home, and then social content came about, and I don't know where or when it happened, but us social media girlies were now going on the shoots with the photographers and the videographers, and we were capturing behind the scenes content on a shoot. So for example, we'd go and shoot campaigns in Portugal or New York or LA, and we would get flown out there to shoot BTS, so behind the scenes. And that was the first moment I can remember. I was in Portugal. I don't know if being in Portugal helped, but I was in Portugal and I was doing BTS content, and I thought, you know what, like shooting this content and editing reels and TikToks, I love it. And that's when it first clicked, and I thought, you know what, this is something that I love doing. So even in my social media role, we had to do like the strategy side of things. And
well, I was going to say, what was really the difference? Like when you first started off in that social media role before you were getting flown on the shoots?
Yes.
What were like the day-to-day tasks that you were doing?
So basically, I was in charge of Instagram. So we all had a social channel, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and eventually TikTok. But I was in charge of Instagram. So I would plan and schedule the feed. I would think about strategies for follower growth and engagement. So it was a lot of decks, basically, a lot of PDFs and a lot of PowerPoints. And although I loved, I enjoyed that side of things. And I enjoyed thinking of strategies for follower growth and everything, but I think there was something missing, and I was getting a little bit bored with it.
Did you not actually shoot any of the content?
No, so we would have influencers. We would reach out to influencers with the influencer team, and they would create content that we posted.
Okay.
So content. We never really shot content ourselves. We'd always just get sent it.
And it was more about like the strategy, really.
It was, and about what was like going to gain us followers. So BTS back then wasn't really anything we thought that would help us in our strategies. And then, it came about, and for campaigns and everything, they actually wanted to lead on social content. So that's when it became really serious, and it was all about reels and TikToks and everything. So, and that's when I thought I was shooting it and editing it. And I thought, this is what I love. And I found something I'm good at.
Yeah.
And no one likes tooting their own trumpet, but I really enjoy editing. And I feel like I have a little bit of an eye for content and what looks good and stuff like that. So I felt like I really had a light bulb moment and thought, this is what I love doing. So yeah, I kind of stuck with that, worked my way up at Boohoo.
Did you ever think when you were like a lot younger that you would end up in a creative role where you are actually producing content yourself?
Absolutely not.
I know content's like a newer word in this day and age. Like when we were growing up, it wasn't a thing, really.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Like if you were going to be involved in what we now know as content, you were going to be a photographer or a stylist or a videographer, that sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, like were you a creative kid sort of growing up?
No, absolutely not. No. I honestly, there was nothing. I look back and I think, what was I good at? I know that's horrific. I tried dance, I tried musical theatre, I tried all of the above, and just nothing ever stuck.
Right,
and I thought, I'm not good at anything. And I thought, I'm just like, it's good that I am an extrovert, or otherwise I would get nowhere in life. And I did try everything and stuff, but yeah, nothing ever stuck. But you're so right, I always did the posting on Instagram. I never did the creating content or anything like that. I always just did the strategy behind it and the planning and the posting, but never creating.
But it's evolved like so much over even a short amount of years. Because
absolutely.
How many years were you in it when that sort of evolution took place?
What year will it be? In like 2021, I think. And even then it was super new for brands, so I feel like it was unheard of for weddings. And then I think 2020, end of 2022, start of 2023 was when it kind of like evolved for weddings. So
okay, so you were working at Boohoo, and you were actually involved in making all of the content. How did that then evolve from there
into weddings? Yes. So basically, I worked another job after Boohoo, which was Fox. So that was all cosmetics and everything, but again, still social media, still shooting content.
And what was your title at the Fox
social
group?
Media manager. So I would kind of work my way up to that. Really happy.
What's like the main difference with when you become a manager in social media?
So manager is more and more strategy.
Okay.
So you absolutely do not go and shoot any content. So I think when I moved into that role at Fox, I was like, no, I kind of missed the content thing. Like we had an exec and an assistant, and they would go out and shoot the content and do all of that. So I think it hit me more than ever when I was in that role. Don't get me wrong, I love managing and I loved my team, but I think it hit me in that role when I couldn't do anything creative. I am actually missing it, and that is what I want to do. But I knew to progress in the social media world, I would have to move away from that and do more grown-up jobs. So I feel like, that's when I started to realise actually I miss the content side of things, and I would always make excuses to go on the shoots and stuff like that. So how it got into weddings. So I actually got engaged in 2022 in September. So my boyfriend at the time proposed. And at the time, like I said, I was an Instagram girly, loved posting, loved editing my own reels and doing all of that stuff. So when I'd go away, I'd do a reel and all of that jazz. Got engaged and I realised I want this sort of person at my wedding. I was going to ask a friend who, again, worked in social media. I knew she'd do a good job, but she was a bridesmaid. So I wanted her to enjoy the day, put her phone away. I didn't want anyone
in the content.
Be in the content. I didn't want anyone on their phones that day. I wanted everyone to enjoy themselves. And I was really panicking. I was like, who's going to take like iPhone stuff off me? Like, who am I going to give my phone to? So I started stressing.
Did you have a photographer and a videographer as well?
Yes, had a photographer and videographer boots. I think that was super important to me. And I was spending a lot of money on that wedding day and I wanted everything covering. Do you know what I mean? We were back and forward on a videographer, but we've lost family members, so I think it was super important to have some form of video on that day, and we're so glad that we did book a videographer. But I kind of just wanted someone to take the iPhone stuff off
like
me.
this kind of fills a gap that the photographer and the videographer don't
capture. Exactly, and it's something that I can get the next day. So I was thinking back and forth, and then started researching into it and realised that only like 2 or 3 people do it in the UK.
Right.
One was Birmingham, one was London, one was Scotland. So I was like, right, there's a gap in the market here. And that's when this little light bulb thing went off. But I'd say I was so nervous about like going forward with it because it was so niche. No one had a clue what it was. I would sit down with friends and say, I've got this business idea. I've never owned a business before, never started one up. I thought, I need to speak to people about this. And obviously my fiance at the time, he was really encouraging because he just wanted me to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I'd speak to people about it and they'd be like, what? Like that's weird. Like I've never heard of that. So it really stuck with me and I really doubted myself and the idea. So I was back and forth for about 4 months on it and then eventually launched it at the start of 2023. And I'm so glad that I did. And I'm so glad I did at that time because now it's skyrocketed.
It really has.
Over such a short period of time, it's like grown more than I ever imagined. And I genuinely think that's because I got in there at the right time.
Definitely. You were still working at the Fox Group at this point, weren't you?
Yes, yeah.
How did you go about launching it? Like, what was your strategy, I guess?
So I was super nervous because I think I was worried what work would think. And obviously anyone will relate to this. If you're in a full-time job, it's hard to have a side hustle on the side. I didn't want to ruin any relationships at work and I wanted to be respectful of that job still. I still love that job and it was well paid and I loved the people there and it was secure and I was saving for a wedding. So I still wanted to have my full-time job. Yeah. But they were super accepting at Fox and we only worked 4 days a week. So I thought, right, this is where I need to launch it now. So I kind of just launched it on Instagram and didn't really no one expected it or whatever, but everyone was super supportive at work. And yeah, I carried on working at Fox Group while I did this on the side. I think it's super important to do that because I think if you dive straight into something, it can be like, what the hell am I doing? And there's a bit of panic around it. But I think I really had that time to sit back, build on it while I still had a full-time job. So
what gave you the confidence to launch it at that point?
I think this'll sound, I don't know if I'm getting too deep now, but I lost my dad 8 years ago. We were super close and I would always go to him for any advice or what do you think of this, Dad? And he was always so supportive. And I had this inkling feeling, I don't know what I believe in and all that stuff, but I feel like he was trying to push me to do it and I couldn't get it out of my head. I thought, this will pass. This is an idea that I think just won't work and it'll pass and I'll forget about it. But I kept getting a feeling do it, launch it, just do it and don't care what people think. And so, yeah, I kind of went with it and I thought I couldn't get it out of my mind. It was like a little niggle. So I thought I've just got to launch it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I launched it, I thought it's nothing big. It'll be whatever. But I had so many inquiries flooded through and I thought I've made the right decision. I know I have.
Amazing.
So I know it sounds weird, but it was always a little feeling at the back of my mind, saying, do it. And I've never had that feeling with anything else. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's when you know it's right. When it's a gut feeling.
It's a gut fit. That's
and
it.
And it keeps coming back into your brain.
And I thought, I'll forget about it and it's nothing, but you're so right. It was a gut feeling and I knew I had to do it. And luckily I had the support of my fiance. He was pushing me to do it as well. So, and I had a lot of advice for him. He's self-employed, so he could give me loads of advice. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like I launched it and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I'm so glad I did. Yeah. So, yeah, I had a little gut feeling to do it. Yeah.
So what did the early days sort of look like in terms of what was your offering? How did you get it out there? And what kind of equipment were you using?
Yeah, when I first launched it, I hadn't even worked a wedding. So bearing in mind, I hadn't even worked a wedding. I thought I'm going to launch it and see if anyone's getting married. Yeah. And luckily, I knew a makeup artist in the industry. She's a friend of a friend, Amy. She's lovely. She does makeup and hair for weddings. She was like, Lauren, I'll recommend you to my brides.
Awesome.
to do a few free weddings. So I think I did 3 weddings off the back of her recommendations for free.
Yeah, building
Because
up
I
a
thought, I've got to
portfolio.
build up a portfolio.
Yeah.
I've got to start somewhere. And I can remember the first wedding I did. I was texting Amy going, what time should I arrive? I didn't even know what time to arrive. I didn't know what a wedding schedule looked like. I was going in fully blind. I arrived at that wedding at 10 a.m. She wasn't getting married till 2. So, you know, I arrived like 2 hours before now. I was there way too early. I was like standing around super nervous, like, what the hell am I doing? And I didn't finish that day until like 9 p.m. So I was so exhausted. It was a long day. I didn't know what the hell I was in for. Got home and I cried to Ben. I was like, I don't want to do it. I was like, I've picked the wrong industry. This is so intense. And there was so much pressure. But luckily on that day, the bride was super nice. The photographer was amazing. She was like a female photographer. She was unreal. And she just helped me throughout the day and said, you need to be here at this time. You need to be there. But it's so funny when I look back because I did no research on a wedding day. I showed off and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to shoot content at a wedding. Seen a few TikToks because it was big in Australia at the time. So I'd kind of done a little bit of research there. But yeah, in hindsight, I would have done a lot more research. But I think it threw me in at the deep end. And then first few weddings were very hard, very tough, very eventful. But they taught me the most about weddings. And I think you should be thrown in at the deep end. And luckily, I had amazing brides and amazing photographers and videographers who supported me. And yeah, the content turned out really well.
Good.
So yeah, but yeah, at the time I was offering it for free. I was offering it for really cheap prices just to build up my portfolio and everything. For about 6 months I was doing that, and then it just blew up. The inquiries were flooding in. I was getting bookings for 2026 at the time, and it was only 2025, and it was only 2023. So 2 years ahead. So yeah. It
might have been me.
Might have been you. You're a super early booker. Yeah.
Well, you looked very professional.
So, yes, I was winging it. But I think I'd spent months working on marketing and branding, and I think that gave me the upper hand. And I always say to people, I think I've kind of been lucky in the social media and branding aspect of things because that's where I've got my experience. I think it's really benefited me. And even at the start, I did look professional because I'd spent months on my marketing and months on my branding. And that's where I was really like clued up on. That's what I was really clued up on. And still to this day, I think being a social media manager in the past has helped me massively with my social media channels and eventually getting inquiries through my social media channels. So yeah, I think that's been a big plus.
How do you advertise? Is it all through social media?
I'm kind of now I've got into the swing of things. It's my 3rd year. I'm kind of now leaning on Google and building up my website side of things and doing more Google ads and Google advertising. But at the start, it was all social media. I think I had the education in that, and that's how I've built up a bigger following on there because I feel like I've had the education on what to post on Instagram and TikTok. But yeah, 90% of my bookings are through social media, I'd say.
But I think that's a good way to go. Like I talk to different marketers about how should I push like the podcast and like other things that I do as well. And I'm like, should I do some paid ads? Because I don't know, to someone that's not really like fully in that world, it seems the obvious thing to do. But everyone's advice has been, no, just try and do it organically, push it on socials, you know, show them what the value is of, you know, listening to that podcast, using your services, that sort of thing. Like, what are they going to get out of it?
Exactly.
And also, like, think about like the barriers to them wanting to purchase or listen or whatever. And answer
why you should listen to that podcast, basically. You've got to tell them why. And I think anyone who's not on social media with a business, I feel like saying, what are you doing? Social media is the main channel you should be using to drive your business. And I think it's so important. And I think I've learned it through my years of being in social media that will break or make your business, basically. And I think if you can't crack social media, that is when you sometimes start to see businesses fail and everything. Because I think even for me as a bride, I was on social media looking for my photographer and videographer. Not once did I use Google. I didn't Google.
Actually,
wedding videographer. I didn't Google wedding photographer. I was on Instagram looking for local
I was exactly
photographers.
the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think you had a similar photographer to me, and where they have a very like unique style.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my photographer, shout her out, Emily Robinson Photography, she is like gifted, and her style is so me and Ben. And when I looked at her Instagram, it was like a little portfolio.
Yeah.
And I was scrolling down. I didn't even look on her website. I looked through her Instagram, looked at the photos, and for me, that was like a little snapshot of her work.
Absolutely.
And I just DM'd her and I was like, are you free on my date? I didn't even go to a website. So I know I've got a website and I love my website, but I think it's so important. You could just have a social media channel and people could just DM you and say, can I book on? Do you know what I mean?
It's so interesting that you say that. One of the other guests I had on this podcast was Daisy Dean. She's a creative director.
Yeah.
And she was saying that when she's looking to like get a crew together for whatever project she's working on, she literally just uses Instagram. Literally. And she actually prefers it to people's websites. Because it's a mini portfolio, like right there. It's so easy to navigate. You get a glimpse of what they're about.
Exactly.
Done.
Yeah. It's so important. That's why Instagram and TikTok are so important. Yeah. Even TikTok now, I don't know about you, but in everyday life, I'm not using Google. I'm searching on TikTok. Yeah. Even if it's like how to make this pasta, I'm on TikTok and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? But in the wedding industry, people are on TikTok Googling, what colour should my flowers be? Give me ideas of wedding themes.
It's wedding inspo, tablescape inspo,
exactly.
And all that kind of stuff,
I think they find suppliers through TikTok as well. So again, TikTok's another really important one to have and to be present on.
You said you did 3 weddings for free, and you did no research as well. So you literally turned up to those days and like, what was the plan? Like, how did you know what you were doing?
Honestly, Morgan, I could not even tell you. I had no planning, but this sums me up though. I feel like I'm very like, I go somewhere and I just wing it. Do you know what I mean? I wing everything. And my plan was to literally just capture content on the day. I didn't even know what packages. At this point, I hadn't even sorted packages out. I hadn't sorted out what deliverables I was giving to them. I think for these 3 weddings, and I'm blessed that the brides and grooms were really accepting and really nice, because I didn't even know what I was giving them. I think I stayed at the wedding, the first one, until 9 p.m. And then the second one, because I knew I wanted to offer a half-day package, I was kind of using them weddings to see what timings would work and what. So in a way, I think it was important to wing it and not have anything too structured, because it made me come up with my packages. So now I've got a 9-hour one and a 5-hour one. But at the start, I was thinking, how many hours shall I do for half a day? Like, I didn't even know where to start. So I think it did help me in a way by being so erratic, because it just helped me work out what I actually wanted to deliver. At the start, I was like, I'll offer 12 hours. And now looking back, that's absolutely horrific. It's stupid. Way too long. The bride and groom would be sick of me at this point and I would be exhausted. It just wouldn't be, do you know what I mean? It wouldn't work out. So I think it just helped me to hammer down timings, work out what times work best. So I arrived earlier some days, I arrived later some days, and worked out what worked.
Yeah.
I think because I was offering it for free, the brides were like, do whatever you want type of thing. So it helped me just get like into the swing of things. And now I've really hammered down my packages. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I make little tweaks and here and there. And at one point I was offering, with my premium package, which is my full day, I was offering 3 mini reels and a highlight reel. Now I only offer 2 and a highlight reel, just because the next day I want to make that content the best content for that bride and groom. I don't want to be overworked and stressed out. I've got to give that to them within 24 hours. I need to know that I'm not rushing that. And do you know what I mean? Take time.
I completely get it, because just going through all, like, the amount of videos that you captured on my wedding day, and then you've got to edit that down to then make this amount of reels and highlight clips and everything. It's a lot of work.
It's so much. And I think I've hammered down a routine now. I'd say this year has been my year. Last year was a year of lessons. It was my first full year, and I learned from a lot last year. And now this year is my first year full time. So again, I've learned a lot. but I've really hammered down my editing process now. So on my break, on your wedding days, I'll have a break when you guys sit down for your meal, and I'll go through then and start favoriting clips.
Okay.
And then I'll upload them to my editing app, and then I'll upload all your footage while I'm asleep at night onto Dropbox. So I've kind of got into the swing of things that makes it super smooth.
Speeds things up.
Exactly. And then I'll wake up in the morning, start editing, and make sure I've got a clear head to start editing as well, because I think that's super important to get a good night's sleep and then start editing. But yeah, it's been a process that's like taken some time and learning and everything. So yeah, but we've got there.
Do you edit on the phone or do you edit anything like on a laptop?
So I use my phone through. I've spoke to content creators in the past and they use laptops and everything, but for me, it's social content. Like, I want to be on my phone. That's what I'm used to. I'm no good on laptops. Like, you could give me a laptop, literally. Someone said to me, oh, I use Adobe. And I thought, Adobe to edit like a social reel? For me, it's just like, I want to keep everything on my phone. That's what I'm comfortable with. That's what I've been trained on at Boohoo. And that's what I'm comfortable with, and I know all of my editing apps inside out. I'm just quicker on my phone as well. If someone gave me the same app on a laptop, I'd be like, what the hell am I doing? Do you know what I mean? I don't know why, but I'm used to a phone. I feel like a laptop is for a videographer and a photographer, like it's a bigger screen. It's for like bigger content, you know what
but
I
for
mean?
social content,
exactly. I think if I was watching it on a laptop, it would look different to what it does on a phone. So I think some people try and complicate social content. I think the easiest way to do it is on a phone. The easiest way to deliver it and to watch it is on a phone. That's the beauty of it. I think some people say to me, can I watch this on a TV? And I think, just watch it on your phone. And you can send it to your friends and family on a phone, on WhatsApp and on AirDrop, and it's super easy. So all on a phone.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm very much a laptop.
Are you a laptop girly? I think you're either one or the other. Do you know what I mean? You could give me a Mac and I'd be like, what the hell am I doing? I've got a Mac, but all I do on it is emails and Netflix. That's it. That is it. Yeah, I know, exactly. And my phone is like, I've got two phones. So obviously one to shoot and edit and a personal one. And they are glued to me at all times. Yeah, very much a phone girl.
So what kind of apps are you using to edit?
So I use Splice to edit, and then I've ventured into CapCut as well. So I used to use Splice before CapCut ever came about and TikTok was a thing. So I've always been stuck with Splice. They're very similar in a way, but I love CapCut now as well. It's got some like amazing features, and I think content's getting more exciting where we're bringing in new things and new audio bits and everything. So I think CapCut's great for that. It's got loads of tools.
I use CapCut. I've never used
Splice is good. So Splice is an OG. I think I only used it at Boohoo. So you know when you've been used to something. But it's basically the same as CapCut, and CapCut's cheaper. So just use CapCut. Sorry, Splice.
But have you seen that CapCut have updated all their terms and stuff?
Yes. And do you know what worries me with CapCut? Obviously, with the whole TikTok ban, I saw American content creators and wedding content creators lose CapCut altogether because it went with the TikTok ban. So I would always suggest for someone to have an editing app that isn't related to any social media channels. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously Instagram's got their in-house editing app now. And I think it's all like well and good, but if that app disappears or gets banned or whatever, that is fully gone now and you're screwed. And like with Splice, they have no terms and conditions. You just like crack on with your editing. So I will always have Splice downloaded because I think that's always my backup. It just worries me with like these social channel in-house editing apps that they could just go and all be banned. So literally download Splice. No. And sometimes I look at other ones and I'm like, should I be using them? But I think it's best to use something that you're comfortable with and that's going to give you the quickest results. I need to be quick within 24 hours. So I'm going to use something that I'm comfortable with where I know everything is. So
So after those first 3 weddings that were free, let's talk about the first wedding you did.
Okay.
Just jumping in quickly to thank the sponsor of this season, Capture One, the tool trusted by professionals around the world and the one I've relied on since day one. Whether I'm producing a shoot, working on edits or reviewing on set, it's always Capture One that I'm opening first. If you want to give it a go, and you should, You can get 30% off for the first year of the all-in-one subscription with code Morgan30. It's valid until the 1st of June 2026. Full details and the link are in the show notes. Now, back to the episode. Like, how did you approach that? Because you do, like, pre-wedding meetings and all of that as well.
Yeah.
So did you do that for that wedding?
So again, it's been a process because now I have a full questionnaire.
Yeah.
I have you've been through it. I do a questionnaire, I do a Zoom call. You fill out the questionnaire, it's super detailed. When I first had my paid one, it was a phone call and I had my notes app up and I was writing down notes. I had no questions prepared. This will make me sound horrific, but I think it's a learning process, and in the whole process is about learning and developing and everything. But yeah, I literally had my notes app up and I would ask them, what sort of content do you like? What bits do you want capturing? And I would ask them like 3 questions, I think. And they were super like broad questions, like not tailored to the client or anything. So yeah, that first paid client, God forbid, I hope they still love their content. But you know, when you just started out, and it was a quick phone call and I would ring them just to get more an idea about them. It was probably mainly me nattering to them about how they're excited for the wedding day. But now I have super like streamlined questions that I ask people, like, what's your content style? Have you got any inspiration? What style of content do you tend to lean towards? Are you fast, romantic, slow? So I feel like I've really like hammered down them questions now. And on my questionnaire, there's about 20 questions. It's really detailed and I leave big boxes for them to really go into detail about their day. I ask for mood boards. I ask for inspiration, and even if they've got like a wedding photographer mood board, I want to look at that just to get a feel of what they like. But yeah, at the start I don't even know what I was doing. I just turned up and captured the content, and like I said, it's a learning curve. But in them first few paid weddings, obviously I put effort into it and I was like present and everything, but I was literally just typing on my notes app. They didn't have a questionnaire or anything.
I don't really see anything wrong. Like, you need to take notes.
Exactly.
So if the easiest way for you to do that is with your notes app.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was a similar process, but I just didn't have questions in place.
Yes. And it's just over time you've kind of learned what to ask, what people want as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think weddings were still so super new for me, so I didn't really know what sort of questions to ask because now I ask it whether they've got any details that they want covering. So, for example, something I might miss on the day, I always ask them what they want me to focus on, or whether there's any key moments like a first look or personal vows or anything like that. So back then I would have just shown up and tried to film everything I could, but now I'm looking out for key moments as well and making sure that's covered, because someone's hired me to watch back that footage and I think it's super important because it's a super important day. And I've learned that now. Obviously in the first year I would do my best, don't get me wrong, I'd give 100%, but now it's way more like personalised, I'd say.
From a customer's point of view, it is a lot of money to hand over to someone. And if there's not a lot of questions before the day, you're a bit like nervous.
You are 1,000%.
And like I was filling out my answers on your questionnaire, and I was there like, she's really like making me think about like, I hadn't even thought of what, that question.
Yeah.
And then I go away and like I kind of do a bit of research and then it reinforces that you're going to do a good day, basically.
I love that.
And it makes,
I love
like,
that.
from a customer, it definitely made me feel like she knows.
Yeah, exactly. And I think and I love that. And I love that to bits, because sometimes I send the questionnaires and I think, is there any point? Like, the bride's going to think, is there any point in this? But I really, really want to get to know my bride and groom, and I really, really make an effort by following them on social media and getting to know them as a person as well. And I sit there and I research into those questionnaires when they've been filled out. I sit there and study them because I think I want to bring my best self to that wedding day, and I want to make sure that content is them through and through. And I hope I did that for you. And I think it's so important to get to know them and their needs and wants, because every bride is different. I had one bride come to me, for example, Jenna. I love her to bits. She's also into Instagram and content. And she was like, Lauren, I want a Nancy Mez like wedding content, like the Parent Trap film, and she was like, have you watched it? And I really haven't watched it. I'm not clued up. So I went and watched the film because I thought this is the vibe she wants. And I feel like we really hammered down the content that she wanted on the day because that was her inspo. So I really try and tailor my content now towards the couple and what they fill out on that questionnaire.
Yeah.
And my content calls now last from 45 minutes to an hour because I really want to sit down and get to know them as a person. And I hope the groom joins, like your groom joined. And I think sometimes the grooms don't join the call and I'm like, oh, that's sad because I like to get to know them as well. Like they're just as important. And I know it's social content and boys don't really understand it, but I think it's so important as a couple to be present and so I can get to know you both and tailor that content towards the both of you because some grooms might be uncomfortable in front of the camera and be like, what the hell is she doing? So I need to get to know their vibe as well. Do you know what I mean? You guys were the funnest couple. So in my head, I knew I need to do a fun edit. And I feel like we nailed that with you guys. I feel like there was so many fun moments, especially in the evening with your bridal party. And I really wanted to highlight that in the content. So yeah.
No, literally when we went out in the evening and for people like listening, watching, they literally got us. I had to go on my husband Nick's shoulders and then all of our bridesmaids and groomsmen just ran around in circles. And I was literally there like, what the hell is going on? What is all this going on? But I got it all back the next day and I was like, I'm glad that looks amazing.
Even your photos looked absolutely incredible and I think it just highlighted your day. And you guys were so laid back as well in an amazing, that's the biggest compliment possible. Like you guys were laid back. You had the most fun on your wedding day. You couldn't care less what that schedule was looking like. Everything was planned down to a T, but you were off having the best fun of your life. And we got mainly candid moments with you and Nick. So I feel like you were just off enjoying the day. And that was so lovely to see.
In fairness, that is what I wanted. Of us are not great in
you wanted candid moments.
We wanted the candid moments. We wanted it to be fun, and that's exactly what was captured. So, like, take you absolutely
put that in your questionnaire as well. So that gives me an idea in my head. Right, they're very candid. They're not comfortable in the camera. Let's get them having a good time.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And forgetting about the camera. So
let's talk about a typical wedding day then. So you can use mine if you want, or you can use a different one. You turn up 2 hours before the actual ceremony, and what happens when you get there?
Basically, obviously there's only one of me, so I turn up about 2 hours before. If it's a huge wedding, there's a lot to do and the groom's at a completely different place, it'll be 2.5 hours, but 2 hours normally. So for example, if you're getting married at 2, I'll be there at 12. So at 12, normally the bride is just finishing off hair and makeup because I always say to my bride, you do not want me turning up when no one's got makeup on, no one's got hair done, no one wants me there with a camera or whatever. And I always say to people, if you've got gifts and letters that you want capturing, save them until I get there. We can capture them then. And a photographer and videographer will turn up around that time as well, 2.5 hours or 3 hours before. So we're kind of all there at the same time. So I'll go up to the bride first, capture all the little last bits getting ready moments. You and your bridesmaids had like a lovely little moment with a cheers, a little champagne, matching pajamas, love all that. This is the moment as well. If we've got any TikToky brides and they want to do a bit of a transition, we'll do that with them then.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand how they fit them in.
I always stress to the brides, I'm like, I know you really want to do this TikTok, but you might not have time to do it. The wedding morning goes so quick and it's over before you know it. So
everyone said that to me and I was like, it's only 7 of us getting ready.
It flies by. And it's so stressful as well. No matter how chilled you are, that you will feel a little bit of stress. Like it gets a lot and you probably felt the same. You're super chill, but I feel like it does get a little bit stressful. It's very nerve-wracking and so obviously we'll be there with all the girls. This is when the good vibes are flowing. All the girls have got like curlers in, rollers in. Everyone's having a good time. And we'll make sure we shoot all that. Then the groom will probably be trousers and shirt on, decent by 12:30. So me and the media team will then go over to the groom, capture him and his groomsmen all having a drink, popping on their buttonholes. So we love to include the groom in the content as well.
Absolutely.
So I think if he's getting ready in the same place, I can then head over to them. Because like I said, there's one of me. Some photographers have 2 people, some videographers have 2. So I kind of need to be all over the shop.
Yeah.
So it's super important for me if the bride and groom are getting ready at the same place. That's amazing. If not, we work around a plan. So I'll go over to the groom, capture little bits of him. Then I'm running back to the bride at around 1 o'clock. Again, we're working on a 2 p.m. ceremony here. So 1 o'clock, the bride will start putting a dress on. The bridesmaids will be getting ready. Again, another important moment, getting the dress on, zipping it up with the mum, or the whichever parent or best friend or whatever, maid of honour, because I think these are really nice moments to capture. So I'll be with the bride then, capturing all these bits. I'll then head down to the ceremony to capture guests walking into the ceremony, arriving, sitting down. And then we'll wait for the bride to enter. And then it'll be the ceremony. Obviously, all of that's captured. Then it'll usually be like a confetti toss. And then you go into drinks reception. So it kind of like slows down a little bit there. Then we'll go into couple shots around that time during your drinks reception. I always say to people as well, we only want to spend 10 minutes on this so you can enjoy your drinks reception and have fun. And then it'll go into wedding breakfast. We'll capture you sitting down, and then it goes into the evening. So it's kind of like non-stop back to back until the wedding breakfast and you guys sit down for food and we get a little break there. But it's non-stop content, and this is why you guys get so much content.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how a typical wedding day runs. And then I'll usually stay until about 45 minutes to an hour after first dance, just so we can get all of them dance floor moments. Your wedding, for example, was popping off, so I might stay a little bit longer. Some weddings, the quieter weddings, the dance floor disperses, and you kind of get a cue as then to when's your time to leave. But I've stayed there sometimes till about 9:30, 10, because it's been like a packed dance floor and it's going off. So yeah, it just depends on how the day runs. But normally it'll be around 9 to 10 hours for a full day.
Yeah.
So it's intense,
It
but
is intense.
it is intense. And I've learned that the hard way. I think sometimes I've packed my schedule busy, but going forward, I really want to have 1 or 2 weddings a week. I've now come to the point where I'm hiring people to take on as freelance associates. So they'll be part of the Brides' social team. So we can shoot more weddings, but I'll shoot less, if that makes sense, because I've learned the hard way that I've had back-to-back weddings. It's been amazing, but I've been exhausted at the same time.
Yeah.
So I really want to focus now on keeping my energy, keeping it together, and just shooting less weddings, but making them even better, if that makes sense. Because it is exhausting. So
with the new associates, would they just be shooting and you'd still be editing?
So I'm kind of in 2 minds. So if they did edit, so if I found someone who was amazing at editing, I really love their style, I would let them edit and then oversee the edits. So they'd always come to me for final approval, just so I can make sure that it's the Brides of Social vibe. They'd have to be really good at editing, and I'd want them to have a similar vibe to Brides of Social, if that makes sense. But I would be happy to edit the content if they went and shot it. It just gives us more chance to open up dates, and I can like take a little bit less on, so I can be a little bit more present with the weddings that I do have. I think at the start, when I first started, I was taking on weddings left, right and centre, and it's just not feasible. So yeah.
No, but I think when you start, you're just
I'm like, yes, amazing. They want to book me.
Exactly.
I'm like, yes.
Just want to say yes to him.
Exactly. And you hate turning down people as well, because people do get gutted. I've had people email me back saying, I'm so gutted. If you have a cancellation list, put me on. And it really upsets me, because I used to be upset as a bride when a supplier wasn't available. So I think it's really gutting to let someone down and not be available for everyone. I wish I was. Sure. You know what I mean?
I know, but there's so many. I feel like a lot of people are saying, oh, weddings are kind of like dying out a little bit. But there are still so many every day, and like every day of the week now as well. Like mine was on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. I always say this. I think my most popular dates for 2026 is a Thursday.
Is it?
Yeah. So everyone's getting married on a Thursday. People are booking off the Friday. They've got a long weekend. Or like you, for example, a Tuesday. People are booked off the Monday. They've had another long weekend. So I feel like it's one of them where people now, they don't really care what date they get married. I've had some of my most extravagant weddings on a weekday because they've spent more on making the wedding look amazing rather than the venue. Yeah. And I think you had such a gorgeous venue.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what day it was.
No,
Do you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no one knows what day it was when they're there as a guest. You've booked the day off the next day. You've got a few days off work.
Yeah.
It's a win-win. And it kind of cuts off the dead weight as well. I know that sounds horrible, but with weddings, bride and groom will have people who will end up coming, but they don't really want there. So I think if you get married in the week as well, it cuts off dead weight.
It does. It saves you money. And then you can go on and get
Yes, exactly. And you can pay money for me and add it bonus.
Exactly.
So I think it's a win-win. But I'm finding a lot more people are valuing the things that they put into their wedding day rather than the venue itself now. I think people are paying less on that and more on the experiences throughout the wedding day and content creators.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on like weddings not being as popular anymore?
Do you know what? I think so. In the industry, you kind of get your friends in the industry and you'll kind of get your foot through the door and you kind of listen to what's going on. So a lot of people have said that next year is super quiet. So I kind of do think people are, do you know what I think people are doing? Booking their suppliers more last minute. And I don't know what that is, but I think people are... Back in the day, I say back in the day, a few years ago, I booked my suppliers within like 2 years' notice.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, every supplier was booked within 2 years.
I was told you kind of
Yeah, I know. And I think that's what's always been drummed into people. Now, people book people within a few months and they're just like, okay. I've had people fill out inquiry forms for this year and they still haven't got a videographer, photographer booked either.
Wow.
And they're inquiring from me. So I think people now, I don't know whether they're more laid back or they're focusing on other things, but they're booking things a lot more last minute. And I think more things are available now for them to book last minute, if that makes sense.
Fair.
But I don't think weddings are dying out. I think people are doing them very differently now. I think more people are eloping, more people are having intimate weddings, more people are going abroad. But I still think they need a media team. So I don't ever think our jobs will die out. I think they'll change over years. For example, I don't know if content will ever stay the same. It might change in a few years' time. I might not be using a phone. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like. I always say to Ben, I don't know what the next 10 years looks like for me from a content aspect. But videography's changed over the years as well, and so's photography.
Absolutely.
So I think you just, you go with the flow and see what happens. But I do think a lot more people are having more low-key weddings now. But I don't think they've died out as such. I think everyone will still be getting married in years to come. I love weddings.
No,
so
same.
I hope they stick around.
Yeah, they're just really fun.
But people are doing things a lot more differently. Like, for example, getting married in the week, having it more low key and spending more on decor and all that stuff. I think people see so much stuff on Instagram and TikTok now that they want to spend more money on that sort of stuff rather than a big lavish wedding. They want like a more Instagrammy. Wedding.
But like,
Intimate, but
looks
very
incredible.
looks insane and very Instagrammable. So
for sure.
Yeah.
What is like the most standout wedding that you've been to?
I think entertainment is key. I think it's not like the hugest thing I've seen at a wedding, but to get your guests up and to have a memorable day, something like the function band, or there's like a company called 21 Events or something, where they're on these podiums and your guests are sitting down to eat and they're singing, they've got a saxophone, they've got a guitar. They just make the experience 10 times better, and they are very expensive and luxurious, but I think it's incredible, and it makes the guest experience like a 10 out of 10. I walk through there and they're singing, they're dancing, and you've got people eating their dessert up dancing on the tables. And brilliant. I think there's always a lull in weddings where the atmosphere drops a little bit. You've ate your dessert, you're full, you're having your teas and coffees, and it's dead. But with these like bands like the function band, they're literally in the wedding breakfast on these podiums. People have to look at them on Instagram because it's amazing. They're singing, they're getting up everyone to dance after they've ate dessert, and the party just carries on going. And don't get me wrong, they are quite expensive, and they're very like, they would blow the budget up a little bit, but they are incredible. Yeah, absolutely worth it. Every wedding that I've seen with something similar to them or them has been incredible and beats anything that any florals, any big arrangement. I think to have your guests having a good time throughout your wedding day is so important.
Yeah.
So they're there through the wedding breakfast, drinks reception, evening, party.
You book them literally
the whole day, yeah. And it just makes it a 10 out of 10 experience. So, yeah.
What's like the best wedding that you've, been a part of?
I suppose it depends on like whether you mean like from like the couple or the day itself. Do you know what I mean? I've been to a wedding where they had activities throughout the day and it was incredible. Like they had mini golf, they had clay pigeon shooting, they had ice cream vans, they had pancake vans, and the whole thing felt like a big festival.
Yeah, wow.
And that was incredible. But again, very expensive, but it depends what you want to spend your money on. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Does stuff like that make your job a bit easier?
Yeah, it does, because it's really nice to capture. But what makes my job easier is the couple and how in love they are and how open they are to capturing content and everything. I think that makes my job easier. But I think when you have a day with all stuff going on, it is amazing to capture. Yeah. And that was Lauren and Sonny's wedding, if they'll listen. But I feel like their wedding was incredible. Like everything was going on. People sometimes say, "I don't know whether to waste the money on stuff during the drinks reception," but you need to entertain your guests during that time, whether it's with cocktails or a cocktail bar or whatever. You need to entertain your guests, live musician, whatever. Saxophonist. I think it's super important. So that would be the best wedding I've been to in terms of like, wow, it was so interactive and it was so fun. So that would be like a little bit of advice. Always have something on during your drinks reception. Other best weddings I've been to is there's just the bride and groom being good vibes in general. And I think that's great for me for content when they're interacting with their guests. They're just in love as a couple. So they just crack on. You don't have to tell them to do anything. And I've had lovely brides and grooms that I've got on with and they felt like friends. So I feel like that's nice. And them are some of the weddings that I remember and the best weddings. And then other times I've been weddings where it's been so extravagant with gorgeous florals and that's been amazing. So it always depends what kind of thing you mean by best. But yeah, them are probably my favourites in a way.
And you've done a couple abroad.
Yeah, I've done abroad. I was just going to say my ones abroad have been amazing because you get to know the bride and groom and the family even better because you're with them through that whole weekend. Or
talk me through a wedding abroad. Like, what do they book you for and what are you capturing and how does it all...
So sometimes it will just be the one day and I'll do 10 hours for destination because I think there's a lot more that goes on in the evening because it goes on later. But I've done weddings where I've done welcome parties when I first got there, like a little drinks welcome party. Then we've done the wedding day and then we've done a pool day on the last day. Nice. So it's a full-blown affair. Yeah. So you get to know all the guests, you get to know the family, you get to know the bride and groom even better. And they've been some of my favourite ones as well because so much is going on. It's so like picturesque. It just makes my job a lot easier. Abroad weddings can be stressful because you've got to get your flight out there, edit the content. You might not have great Wi-Fi in your hotel. Them are little things that you've got to factor in. So that can be a little bit stressful. So I only try and do 3 or 4 per year just because I don't want to stress myself out too much. I've got 5 this year and it's been a little bit like... a little bit like, but abroad weddings are amazing and they're so worth it to become a content creator and have them flown out because so much goes on. For example, like the pool parties, the after parties, the welcome drinks. So I always do like a bespoke package for them couples so they can book on what they want. But yeah, I've had some amazing abroad weddings. Yeah.
It's a bit of a different kettle of fish. Like there's so many more unknowns, especially for you because... You may never have been to the venue in the country
or
before.
in the country. And I always stress about taking Ben with me to these destination weddings. He's like my personal assistant when we're out there. He's even come to me to a wedding abroad. Like I had one in France and he came with me and just helped me out on the day and passed me my foot. I know it sounds stupid, but got my water and my fan. I need a glamorous assistant. And he drives me around if it's a different country because there's that factor of being stressed of driving on the wrong side of the road, hiring a car. So I think when people do inquire for destination, the price is a little bit more expensive, but you've got to factor in accommodation, car hire, travel, flights, taxis, expenses, all of that. So it is expensive to do it all out there and it can be a lot.
And do you still provide their content like after each of the days, or do you do it all at the end?
So this is, again, has been a learning curve for me. So on the 3-day one, I did it after each event. But I think going forward now, I would pitch it where they get it all after the wedding. Because the bride's not even on their phone the day after when they're at the pool party, or the day after the welcome drinks is the wedding. So they're not going to be even looking at the content. Then, So I think if they got all 3 reels from each day at the end, I think that'd be even better for them, and a better experience. They're not even on their phone during this whole period of time. So I think going forward, I would offer it that way, where I just edit everything. And when I get home as well, I'm on better Wi-Fi. The connection's better, because I know it sounds stupid, but you have to think of these things when I'm delivering their Dropbox and I'm downloading the reels from my editing app abroad, the quality will not be great. I don't know what it is, whether it's the Wi-Fi, the connection, or whatever. I don't think the content's as good when it's downloaded abroad. So I prefer to get home.
That's interesting.
And so I was at a destination wedding once. I was downloading it off my editing app, and I kept saying to Ben, is this blurry? Like, it feels blurry. Waited until I got home. This was my Sorrento wedding. Sent it to her when I got home. She loved it. And it was just better quality. So it must be the Wi-Fi or something. And I'm in a group chat with loads of content creators, and they say the same. So I think I would offer it now, where I would obviously fly back after the last day, just send it them all when I got home. I would rather it be perfect than risking the quality just so they could have it quicker. So,
and I think they would prefer
they would, and their head's in the clouds. They're still in their destination wedding, so I think it's better to send it all when you get back, rather than stressing while you're out there. So,
absolutely. And no matter what wedding you're doing, UK, abroad, whatever, does it take you pretty much like a whole day then to actually edit everything and create the Dropbox for them and all of that?
So I would say my strongest quality is editing and how quick I can do it. So I think at Boohoo, they used to throw you in the deep end. We need this reel out in 30 minutes, and you'd have to create it. And it'd be like, we're pushing this item today, go up to the studio, shoot that content and get it out on Instagram, and you'd have an hour to do it. So I've always been really fast at editing and quick, and I know my process now with weddings. So I'd say it takes me a couple of hours to edit all the stuff.
Good,
I do the highlight reel first, and then I'll work on the little reels after that. And then I'll always go back to the highlight reel and give a second pair of eyes over it. I'm like, Ben, watch this, give me any feedback. I'll send it to friends sometimes as well. I'm like, watch this for the first time, because I've been watching it over and over, and I might be blind to something that I've not seen. So I'd say a couple of hours. I usually have the content with them the afternoon after I've triple checked everything. I used to offer TikToks and reels, and now it's more reels, because with TikTok I'll film the content for them and they can edit that themselves. I think it's more valuable to give them reels instead of TikToks as their deliverables, if that makes sense, because TikToks just go out of trend. I'd rather give them something that they can watch in years to come. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. I just want the reels, that you can watch forever. And I think that's the beauty of it. So I always try and push reels now instead of TikToks. But TikToks used to be huge 2 years ago, so it all changes.
It'll change.
It will, exactly.
Have you had any like bridezillas on the day, or once they've received the content and they, I don't know, don't like it?
Touch wood. I've not had any complaints or anything like that. I think the beauty of my job is I think anyone would be happy seeing their wedding the next day. So luckily, touch wood, I've had no bridezillas. On the day, I've had a handful of brides that have been very, very strict and really want to stick to a schedule. So for example, they've had a lot of things going on: champagne tower, cake cut, sparkler exit, first dance. Everything's been planned to a T, and they've been, you can tell they've been so uptight and stressed, and they're so focused on getting the content that they forget to enjoy the day. They've had a dress change, but they've really focused on the dress change as if they want the whole thing like captured, and then they go down to a champagne. So it's like a lot planned, and then they're not actually enjoying the day. And don't get me wrong, on my day I had a champagne tower, I had a cake cut, but I wasn't stressing to the point where I was thinking, is everyone ready to capture this? We just go and do it. Do you know what I mean? But I have had brides that have been a little bit bridezilla-y and stressing themselves out because they're like, I want this capturing, I want this. And they've been more focused about the content that's being captured by me, the videographer and the photographer, rather than enjoying themselves.
I feel like the best content is from them actually enjoying it.
Exactly, and you're a prime example of that. Like, I feel like when it's candid and when the couple are so in love, it makes my job easy. But when they're so stressed and they're very rigid and very posy and they're worried about what they look like and they're like, is this my best side? Is this my best side? You can tell on their content, it's really, really forced and fake.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So I always encourage brides to relax, enjoy the day, and that's when the best content will come out. I think it's really sad when you have a really structured bride and you can tell they're not enjoying themselves. But I think, again, that's Instagram and TikTok that have had a bit of bad influence on them, because they're really like, I want to get this shot. I've seen it on Instagram or TikTok, and it's a bit sad. I suppose it's whatever your day. I've only ever had a few brides like that. They've got amazing content from it, but they've not necessarily enjoyed their day.
Exactly,
and they've not been spending time with
really.
their guests.
And how do you make sure that you capture exactly like what they want captured? Do you have like a to-do list on your phone?
Yes. So the questionnaire that I send out, I have the app on my phone. So it's something called Pixie Set. It's my website, so everything's in there, everything's housed in there, so I can be on my phone and I can get the questionnaire up during the day. So I'll always make notes during the content call as well, because some people might not include something on the questionnaire and they might mention it in the call. So I'll also have notes on the bride and groom as well, which I can just go to on my phone. And I just know I'll have an order of the day in the questionnaire. I know what's coming, I know what's next. Because I think sometimes people have an order of a day and they might not have a confetti toss until later on in the day, and you're like, what's happening? So you need to know what's happening hour by hour, and I'll always go off that. I've got it on my phone ready to go.
And I feel like all of your branding is like so put together and really professional.
Did you do all? I did all myself, which is like, I don't give myself enough credit for it, because I've got friends who are graphic designers and all of that, but I literally did it all myself. And like I said at the start, it took me 4 months to really perfect everything and how I wanted it to look. And I thought to myself, I don't want it to age. Like, for me, example, I love pink and I love graphic and everything. And I thought, oh, shall I do it really girly and everything? But then I thought, in a few years' time, I might go off it or regress it. So I've always kept it very minimal. I've made little tweaks, but I've still got the same logo. I've not changed my branding. So I'm still super happy at where it is right now. But did it all myself. So very proud.
How did you come up with the name as well? Because it's very sleek and modern.
And
so it's seemingly a little bit obvious. Like social, but like it just sounds great.
I think there's content creators out there and they'll have a name that doesn't really resonate with content creation. I think when I'm looking for a supplier, their name will scream out to me. And Brides of Social, so it was going to be Brides on Social. But it's Brides of, because I feel like that flowed more. But I wanted for my name to say, you're a bride that's on Instagram, basically. You're a bridie that loves the socials. That's the target audience that I'm trying to reach. Like, I want my bride-to-bees to be living and breathing social media. Do you know what I mean? And I think I want them to be creative. I want them to post the stuff. I want them to edit the stuff. So I want that type of brides.
And how have you found it being like self-employed?
So I love it. Like, I was literally at a Pilates class yesterday and I've just got so much more time. I feel refreshed. And even when I've got like 3 weddings a week, it's not like a 5-day working week. I'm still seeing friends and family. I just love it. I've got my own freedom. So a big thing for me at my previous jobs was annual leave. I couldn't go on holiday or hardly ever. And I think it's super important to switch off, relax. And I think being self-employed, although it comes with a lot of stresses and you never kind of really switch off from your brand, but I think that's the beauty of it. I think with an office job, you can switch off when you go home, but I think I don't switch off from Brides of Social because I'm passionate about it. I can still go on holiday and enjoy myself. But I have more freedom, more time, and I'm doing something that I love, and I'm passionate about something that I love. Don't get me wrong, it's a little bit scary and you don't always get the same pay package every month, but and it's a little bit worrying, but it is what it is. And it evens out in the end, and life's boring if it's just, but do you know what I mean? I was so bored. I hope no one hears this from my jobs, but a 9-to-5 job just wasn't stimulating enough for me. And I think I've really felt my groove with being self-employed, and I do have a lot of drive, and I think that's important. And I think it's important to know that it is very hard running your own business and it's a lot of stress sometimes. But I think if you've got the drive and you're passionate about what you do, it'll be easy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what's like or have you even put a lot of thought into like your strategy on TikTok and Instagram?
Do you know what? I think I was that sick of doing strategies at work. I think I'd never really had a strategy, but I think with Instagram, I want it to be more of a portfolio. I want my highlights reels to be on there. I want to post like more romantic things on there and more like visually appealing stuff on there. Whereas TikTok, my strategy on there is giving advice, giving tips, doing things on there that are wacky and crazy. Like if someone has a really wacky seating plan, for example, I want to put that on TikTok because people see that and the views will go crazy because people are like, I want to do that.
Yeah, they love it.
So anything I see that's extraordinary at a wedding day, I think I'm putting that on TikTok because it's things that people want to see on TikTok. People want to be entertained on TikTok. People want advice. People are Googling stuff on TikTok and searching for things. They're using it as a search engine. I think it's important to separate your content and have a strategy for Instagram, have a strategy for TikTok, and not to post the same things on both of their channels.
Sense, really.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's working because on TikTok,
yeah,
like,
80k, which is crazy. But I think it's always the things on TikTok that go viral are the, like I said, 3 reasons why you should have a sweetheart table, or first looks with a dad that are really emotional, seating plan arrangements, wedding favors that you might want. And that's gone crazy. Like some of my videos have reached millions of views, which is incredible, and I need to give myself more credit. But on Instagram, I've kind of like stripped it back and I want it to be more appealing on there and more picturesque.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I did. So it was so crazy because I got it. I didn't even apply or anything. I don't think you could have applied. So this company, it's called Wedded Wonderland. They're based in Australia and America, and they look at content creators, photographers, videographers from all around the world on Instagram. So again, this is why Instagram is key.
Yeah.
And they look at your work and they scout out people that they put on their top 50 lists. So they have these top 50 lists that they post out that are on their website there. They do like a monthly subscription and it's on their Instagram as well. So they have brides and grooms from all over the world signing up to their monthly subscriptions, and they'll give them recommended suppliers basically. So I followed Wedded Wonderland, but I'd never like knew what they did or anything. Do you know what I mean? And I got an email from them saying, you've got top 50 wedding content creators in the world. I was like, what? And they tagged me in a post on Instagram and I was like, what is going on? So checked my emails and had the email, and they sent me through an email and like a recognition and everything. I was like, what is even going on? And that for me was such a huge compliment. And you click on the link online and I was like the first one to come up, and it was nice. Lauren from Northwest. I was like, oh my God. And there was only 2 other creators from the UK on that list. The rest were Australia, America. So it was such a huge compliment and such a big like highlight in my career in Brides of Social. And it's been amazing. And I think being given that title has given me so many more opportunities. So I think it's been a huge, it's been amazing. And I can't thank them enough. And you're part of like a little community now in Wedded Wonderland. So it's been amazing.
Oh, cool. That's so good.
Amazing.
Oh, brill. So
I know,
I feel like
ages. I know. I feel like I've got no saliva left in my mouth. I'm talking.
Well, we got to finish up on the listener round anyway, because a couple of the listeners have written in and have questions. What is your go-to equipment? So we've talked about like editing apps.
So physical equipment.
What are you using?
Obviously, the latest iPhone. So I always say you've got to be 2 models ahead, like the 2 models that are most recently out, because I think the camera spec, everything. Always have the iPhone Pro Max because it's got a better camera. I've also got a DJI gimbal. So I use my little gimbal. That just helps anyone who's got a shaky hand like me, just for the smooth angles. When you're in a ceremony as well, it's 30 minutes long. You need something that's going to like rest your hand. I also use a little handheld light. So if any brides have got like a little dingy getting ready room, which some brides do, even mine was when I was getting married, I need to have the best light possible. And sometimes we won't have natural light. So a little handheld light that clips on top of my phone. Always have about 6 power banks because I lose battery during the day. Got a little vintage camcorder because now I put little camcorder clips into my reels. I think it just gives a nostalgic vibe.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But I'm always adding to my kit. If anything new comes out, I'll add it. I must say, like, a lot of content creators are using drones now. But I feel like that sits with a videographer in my eyes and a photographer. I don't know. I feel like social content is what it says on the box. It's social content. It's on an iPhone. So, yeah, that's all that's in my kit at the moment.
It's pretty lean.
I know. And I feel like all I need to focus on is having the latest iPhone, really. And that's my priority. But, yeah.
Awesome. And what's one thing about working in weddings that's like totally surprised you?
That no wedding is the same. I feel like I went into it thinking they're all going to be the same. Every wedding's the same, but no wedding's the same. Every day is different. You go there expecting that the day's going to run the same. It won't. Like, everyone plans it different. Everyone does different things. People's personalities are different. So, yeah. No wedding is the same. They're all crazy in their own unique way. I feel like everything you think a day is going to go to, you could never plan a wedding day, and I can never be prepared of what's to come. Anything can happen.
What's your advice for someone starting out in content creation and wanting to build?
Do you mean in weddings or brands, or just in general? In weddings. I feel like in weddings, it's so I think it's super, super necessary to have experience. I feel like anyone can come into the wedding industry, pick up a phone and start filming weddings. I always urge them to get some brand experience first. I feel like it's what shaped me as a person, and I feel like you get a better eye for things, you get better training, and you learn how to edit faster. So if anyone can get any brand work with any fashion brands, beauty brands, anything like that, do a bit of like interning there or a bit of freelancing within brands. Then come into the wedding industry, you'll be so much more prepared and you can stand out from the rest. I feel like there's a lot of people now doing wedding content creation, and it's a lot of people who have come in with not much experience with brands or marketing or anything like that. If you have that experience, you will go far in the wedding industry. Obviously, once you've done a bit of brand experience, do some weddings for free, see if it's your vibe first, because it might not be, and then go from there. But I always recommend to people, do a bit of brand work before. You can get brand work anywhere for free. If you do a few free shoots for anything, every brand is looking for a freelance content creator. Go and do that, get an eye for it, and then come into weddings and you'll fly.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
No, such good advice.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
so much for having me.
Thank you.
So lovely to see you again.
Yeah, and you.
Yeah, amazing.